Thank you for the invitation to this conference. I'm very glad to be part of an event that is in its 15th edition already, so congratulations and my warm greetings from Brussels. My aim is to provide you with some context on how the COVID crisis is impacting automotive suppliers in the EU. But before I do so, a short introduction. My name is Sigrid de Vries, and I've been working on EU affairs for over 20 years now, and on automotive issues for about 15 years. In my current role, I am the head of CLEPA, which is the European Association of the Automotive Parts and System Suppliers in Brussels. And at CLEPA, we are doing our utmost to make the world of policy and the world of industry talk to each other and also understand one another. CLEPA is basically a club. We are an association of members, both national associations such as the SDCM in Poland, and companies such as Bosch, Faurecia or ZF, and also newer kids on the block such as Aptiv or Nvidia or Sony. CLEPA is the voice of the supplier industry in Europe towards the EU institutions, the European Commission, the European Parliament, the 27 EU member states, and organizations such as the UNECE. And in Geneva, we also represent the American and the Japanese supplier organizations. In short, we strive for the automotive supply industry to be the leading provider of innovative technologies and solutions for safe, sustainable, and smart mobility around the world. Our mission is to co-create the framework conditions for advancing a sustainable and competitive supply industry in Europe, an industry that is innovating mobility and bringing prosperity and employment to society at large. The regular exchange and close collaboration with the national industry associations is, of course, crucial for this work. Europe may have its headquarters in Brussels, but much of the decision-making happens in the national capitals and via national representatives in the European Parliament. We have been closely cooperating with the team of SDCM for many years. They have excellent relations both in Poland and in Brussels, and it is a privilege and a pleasure to work together. Now, to providing you with a perspective on Europe, the automotive supply industry is obviously a key asset for Europe's economy and Europe's future. Automotive suppliers have a big footprint in Europe. They employ 1.7 million people directly, on top of the 1.2 million with the vehicle manufacturers. And every job in automotive creates another 2 to 3 jobs in the layers of tier 1 and 2, and another 2 to 3 jobs further down the supply chain. Transport and automotive are key engines of the European gross domestic product. In several countries, the share of our sector in the economy is above 10%, and I think Poland is a good example of how important the automotive industry is and can be. We are a very diverse sector, very much driven by innovation. Want to remember, there are on average 30,000 parts and components in a vehicle, from powertrain and axles to onboard infotainment systems to headlights, seats, brakes, sunroofs, airbags, radars, roadside sensors, and many other life-saving innovations. Suppliers provide about 75% of the end vehicle content, and they have a share of over 50% in automotive innovation. They invest annually more than 30 billion euros in research and development. So they are, in other words, mobility solution providers and in the front line of the mobility transformation that we are all living today. The automotive industry is, as I say, living its biggest transformation in history, and this entails many opportunities, but also many challenges. And I really believe it's fair to say that today there is nothing traditional anymore about the automotive industry. The present challenges, digitalization, Green Deal, changes in the geopolitical framework, the move to more localized sourcing or circular economy, all of these require far-reaching transformation processes which are felt across the entire sector. And they offer vast opportunities, but they also cause quite a bit of pressure and strain. The megatrends of decarbonization and digitalization both drive and challenge our industry in a magnitude that we have never seen before. And these trends are not only requiring substantial financial resources from our members, but they also come with new levels of uncertainty. And in parallel, global trade relations, increasing US protectionism, and China's changing of the book of rules, they are all top of the agenda. Supply chains are globally integrated, laid out to achieve maximum efficiency in a highly competitive, capital-intensive, innovation-focused business. And with much reason, tariff restrictions, as much as non-tariff barriers, are a main point of focus for industry associations like STCM, but also CLEPA. And all the priority topics tie into a core challenge for our sector, which is competitiveness. And we could also say leadership. We need to ask ourselves what makes our industry competitive and how can we continue to lead? The structural changes in the automotive industry have been further accelerated by the COVID-19 crisis. And this really poses tremendous challenges. Of course, making sure that employees were safe has been priority from the start. And as an industry, many initiatives were also taken to support with medical equipment and other crisis aid. Here on the slide, you see that we, CLEPA, want to recognize these initiatives during our awards ceremony, the Innovation Awards ceremony, later this month, which can be followed online. But the implications for the economy are severe, and the impact is becoming more and more apparent. Almost daily, articles in the press illustrate the impact of the crisis. Since the outbreak, over 100,000 jobs have been announced to disappear, half with OEMs and half with suppliers. And in the supply industry, this is only the top of the iceberg. Smaller companies often do not make national media coverage. And in addition to cuts to the workforce, industry is also having to reduce investments in R&D, which is further impairing the ability to shape the transformation of the sector and achieve the climate and digital goals. And this is a real problem because our global leadership as a sector really depends on innovative technologies and on manufacturing excellence. A big question, no doubt, is whether the global car market will come back to a growth of 2 or 3% a year, or if the COVID and the economic crisis will keep levels lower for a long time to come. Until recently, global car production volume was expected to rise from around 94 million units to around 115 million units by 2030. But industry has been revising forecasts downwards substantially, and this may, of course, influence the sector outlook substantially. And to have a deeper understanding of the business sentiment in our industry, we regularly conduct the CLEPA Pulse Check with the support of McKinsey. The impact of the COVID crisis has obviously been severe. The last edition of the survey, held in September, showed us that 51% of suppliers expect their revenue to continue to fall over the next 12 months. And we also saw that the preparedness for a second wave of COVID lockdown measures was rather low. These measures will, of course, also depress the overall economic and consumer sentiment. Nevertheless, we also see some light at the horizon. 73% of suppliers anticipated being profitable again in 2021, as market recovery and drastic cost-saving measures should start to bear fruit. But industry restructuring plays a significant role, so footprint reduction, employment loss, and also research and development reductions in production facilities all over Europe are to be expected, and they will be an important feature of crisis recovery. 60%, in fact, of the suppliers that answered in our survey are currently restructuring their portfolios. In a second wave of COVID measures, we will again need effective policy response from governments, both at local, regional, but also European level. A response that ensures public health, that minimizes the impact on the economy in the longer term, and that maintains a focus on the overarching objectives of our time, which are the digital and the carbon neutral society. How can public authorities help companies retain their employees and secure the economic contribution that the industry provides to society? That's the key question. Over the past few months, many companies have been allocating resources to ensure the safety of their employees in line with public health guidelines. And this is why we really ask public authorities to avoid the closure of factories again as much as that is possible. And EU member states should also maintain the central information exchange on border measures set up by the Commission to enable the continued flow of goods, but also cross-border commuting and all necessary travel. The automotive supply chain is highly integrated, and preventing one single piece from moving countries can stop production for weeks. And of course, this is what we should try and avoid. And on the side of demand, all dealerships and motor vehicle workshops should remain open as much as possible to avoid another radical drop in car sales and to guarantee that consumers can access personal mobility solutions and repair and maintenance services as they need them. To underpin Europe's long-term competitiveness, the EU should also leverage all instruments at its disposal to support research and innovation. This includes the EU budgets for Horizon Europe, but also public procurement and financing tools from the European Investment Bank. The automotive industry is crucial for the economic fabric of Europe. The sector is vast, highly innovative, with long value chains and strong ecosystems. And what is needed now is leadership and clear directions for ensuring a European approach to maintain and to strengthen our joint resilience. I will say a bit more about this in my further contribution to the conference today on EU policy, which will be shortly. Thank you very much for now.